How emotional control makes you instantly attractive. There's one trait that can change how people see you almost instantly. It's not your looks. It's not your money. It's not even what you say. It's something deeper, something most people overlook, but feel immediately. And that trait is emotional control. Think about it. Have you ever met someone who just feels calm? Someone who doesn't overreact. Someone who doesn't get easily shaken. Someone who seems grounded no matter what's happening around them. There's something about that kind of person. You respect them. You trust them. You feel comfortable around them. And without realizing it, you're drawn to them. Now compare that to the opposite. Someone who reacts to everything. Someone whose mood changes constantly. Someone who gets anxious, frustrated, or emotional too quickly. That energy feels different. It feels unstable. It feels unpredictable. It feels heavy. And that difference is what this video is about. Because emotional control is not just about staying calm. It's about how you handle pressure, uncertainty, and interaction. And once you develop it, you don't need to chase attention. People start responding to you differently. 1. What emotional control really is. Emotional control is often misunderstood. Many people think it means suppressing emotions. They think it means not feeling anything, or pretending everything is fine all the time. But that's not what it is. Emotional control is not about ignoring emotions. It's about managing them. It's about feeling what you feel without letting it control your behavior. There's a difference between having emotions and being controlled by them. One is natural. The other creates instability. A man with emotional control can feel frustration without reacting impulsively. He can feel uncertainty without panicking. He can feel attraction without becoming dependent. And that ability creates a very specific kind of presence, a presence that feels stable. And stability is rare. 2. Why stability is attractive. Attraction is not just about excitement. It's also about how someone makes you feel over time. When someone is emotionally stable, you don't have to guess how they will react. You don't have to manage their emotions. You don't feel pressure to keep things balanced. There's a sense of ease, a sense of calm, and that calmness allows attraction to grow naturally. Because instead of focusing on managing the person, you can focus on enjoying the interaction. Now, compare that to someone who lacks emotional control. You have to think carefully before you speak. You have to watch how they might react. You feel tension in simple situations, and that tension reduces attraction because it feels like work. 3. Reaction versus response. One of the clearest signs of emotional control is the difference between reacting and responding. A reaction is immediate. It's driven by emotion. It happens without thought. A response is different. It is intentional. It is measured. It comes after a moment of awareness. Most people react. They respond based on how they feel in the moment. If they feel ignored, they chase. If they feel insecure, they over-explain. If they feel frustrated, they express it immediately. But a man with emotional control pauses. He notices the feeling, but he doesn't let it dictate his behavior. That pause is where control exists, and that control changes everything. 4. How emotional control changes attraction. When you have emotional control, your behavior becomes consistent, not predictable in a boring way, but stable in a reassuring way. You don't overreact to small changes. You don't shift your behavior based on every message. You don't depend on constant validation. And because of that, you feel different to be around. You feel grounded. You feel centered. You feel like someone who is in control of themselves. And that is attractive because most people are not in control of themselves. They're controlled by their emotions. 5. Common signs of low emotional control. To understand this better, it helps to recognize what low emotional control looks like. It shows up in small, everyday behaviors. overthinking simple situations, checking your phone constantly, feeling anxious when someone takes time to reply, sending extra messages to fix the silence, needing reassurance to feel secure. These behaviors seem small, but they reveal something deeper. They show that your emotional state is being influenced externally, instead of being stable internally. And when that happens, your behavior becomes reactive, and reactive behavior reduces attraction. 6. Texting and emotional control. Texting is where emotional control is tested the most, because texting creates uncertainty. You don't see tone, you don't see expressions, you don't know what the other person is doing, and that uncertainty triggers emotion. If you don't have control, you start overthinking, you start analyzing, you start reacting. But if you have control, you remain steady, you send a message, and you continue your life. You don't wait for the reply to determine your mood. You don't create meaning where there is none. And that difference is noticeable, even through a screen. 7. Self-control builds self-respect. Emotional control is not just about attraction. It's also about self-respect. When you can control your reactions, you stop doing things you later regret. You stop chasing impulsively. You stop over-explaining yourself. You stop acting out of insecurity. And over time, that builds confidence. Not loud confidence, not performative confidence, but quiet confidence. The kind that comes from knowing you are in control of yourself. And that confidence is deeply attractive. The real shift happens when you stop trying to control others and start controlling yourself. You stop focusing on how they respond. You stop trying to predict outcomes. You stop reacting to every change. And instead, you focus on your internal state, your thoughts, your reactions, your behavior, because that is what you actually control. And when you master that, everything else becomes easier. Emotional control is not something you develop overnight. It takes awareness. It takes practice. It takes discipline. But once you start building it, you notice a difference in how you think, in how you act, and how people respond to you. Because when you are in control of yourself, you stand out. And that is where real attraction begins.